Guys, are we live? So yes. So let me just do something real quick. So it's closing out my Gamora where I edit my videos. So yes, let's get into the video now. So welcome back to another live stream. Yes, how you see my face now, guys. So yes, so welcome back to another live stream. In today's live stream we'll be uh uh building some stuff in my world and doing some stuff. So let's get into it. I'm gonna be watching some Minecraft videos while I do this, but this is my world now. My forever world. So let's get into it. So
things, like a full nature update, and small ones, like showing actual ping on servers. All updates we need. Sounds like a bold title, doesn't
I'm
it?
just watching
But
videos
it
on
implies more than
updates that
information.
might be
This
added to
video is about the
Minecraft.
features the
So
community
let's get
has been
into it.
waiting for years. Yet, for some reason, Mojang keeps ignoring them. We'll cover big things, like a full nature update, and small ones, like showing actual ping on servers, instead of those vague signal groups. There are already videos like this on my channel, and you know what? Some of the things I talked about back then were later added to the game. That's awesome, because it shows that we, the players, are actually being heard. Recent spawn egg textures, falling leaves, fallen leaves, mob variants, fallen trees in
It's nighttime, but it's on peaceful mode, so let's trade some peaceful mode. So peaceful mode it doesn't disable achievements on Bedrock. I know it doesn't on Java. Yeah.
Mojang took a wrong turn. If you look at past updates and compare them to today's, you can see how Mojang seems to no longer know
So we need get some.
In the past, they made the
I got this really cool skin, by the way, guys. So it looks pretty cool. So yeah, it's like 9 o'clock my time.
We got the village and pillage update, which completely changed villagers. Villagers got professions, and pillagers appeared, raiding the villages. In 1.50,
the village update was really good.
Although it didn't add much content, focused on optimization, because after the aquatic and village and pillage updates, Minecraft began to lag, and in this update they worked on performance. Then came one of the best, if not the best update, Nether update in 1.16. Mojang completely reworked the Nether.
Nether update was really cool. We need to build some stuff in Nether, actually, in the future.
With this update, Mojang set a very high quality standard. After that came Caves and Cliffs, an update so massive that the developers had to split it into two parts. It completely reworked the cave and mountain generation. Caves got biomes, and their size increased. Mountains began to look like real-world landscapes. Since the Nether was updated in the previous version, the overworld was updated here. So in 1.19, everyone thought we'd get the end update, and everyone started waiting. Then came the moment of truth. Mojang releases the end update, where they completely reworked the end, added new biomes, new mobs, and new mechanics.
Did you believe me?
Instead of that, Mojang made the wild update, which was absolutely strange and unnecessary.
Where's the end update? I missed the part where that's my problem.
Oh, we have Dark Coat.
The update is called the Wild Update.
Forgot to get.
You probably think, well, if it's called wild, it must be about wildlife. New animals, birds, predators, right?
The wild update sounds very, very intriguing. The word wild mainly means two things for us. So the first thing is that it's nature.
Huh?
Second thing is like really scary challenges and adventures.
Hey guys, what's going on?
In the Wild update, they add the Warden, who lives underground in a new structure called the Ancient City to bring, as they said, a horror element to the game. They also added mangrove swamps and frogs, and that's it. Where's the wild nature here? After this update, I started getting suspicious. Then came 1.8, Trails and Tales. And in this update, I realized Minecraft definitely took a wrong turn. They added archaeology, where you clean blocks with a brush and have a 90% chance of getting absolute garbage. Also, if you find ocean leaves, you can clean them too.
So this was Clark's house, but then he's not my friend anymore, so I basically is my house now. I don't even know why Clark put these things here.
Digs out new plants from the ground, but As you asked, those are completely useless too, and that's the problem with recent updates. They're unnecessary and uninteresting. The player gets nothing.
Hopefully Clark doesn't watch this video and
Pretty good, but let me remind you, this update
calls
is
me
clear to
and
make
gets mad at me.
then came one
Because I don't want to be his friend.
trials. This update is definitely better than the previous ones. It added a new underground structure. But again, does Minecraft need that right now? You have to understand, the entire
So,
overworld in Minecraft
there
has
was some
15
stuff
years
down
been
here.
imagined by one person.
Clark built this
He created the zombies, skeletons, creepers,
strange
and
place.
fighters. The mobs we still have today.
The
Same
dungeon.
pigs, cows, and chickens. None of them have
He
changed since they
put some
were
mob traps here, but then I
also,
removed them.
and they haven't changed in 15
So,
years. The tricky trials, we got a small update.
so
from 21
I'll turn it to something else soon.
which will now talk
He also
about
has a lot of stuff in
just
here,
think
which
about
I'm gonna
it.
keep.
Took them 4 years.
I banned him from this world,
Still,
so he can't join anymore.
yes,
Yes, because he was being rude to me.
small but frequent ones. Then
So,
came the Garden Awakens update, and honestly, I don't know why this
tired of
update even
him
exists. They
killing
added
me
a
in
new biome
Minecraft,
and a supposedly scary
stealing my stuff,
point of
and
this update. The biome
messing
doesn't
with
really
me,
fit
so
Minecraft. It looks like you
this is what he
downloaded
gets.
most importantly, there's nothing interesting for the player there. The only reason to visit it is the new white room. I remind you, they spent half a year developing this update, and as usual, nothing that truly excites the fans. And after total disappointment in the developers, new snapshots started coming out, where they added things fans have been asking for.
Hopefully they add the end update soon.
Started updating nature, mob fairies, fireflies, falling leaves, and on Minecraft Live 2025, they showed us a new passive mode, Ghastly. To get it, you need to find it in the nether.
I'm excited for the gas line, actually.
Wait a few days for it to
The happy gas
feed it
and
to the
stuff.
mobs. When I first saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes. Yo. It looked like some weird, but then I sat and thought, this is actually a useful mod. It can help with building big projects. It reminded me of a mod where you could place a dragon egg in water to hatch a water dragon, or lava to get a fire dragon. And if something like that used to seem absurd in Minecraft, then with the addition of the Ghast, a dragon might just become real. Just kidding, that'll never happen. What else was there in Minecraft Live? Official shaders. This is actually a really cool addition. Newcomers won't have to search for shaders online. They'll be able to turn them on right in the game without any hassle.
Oh yeah, I forgot the happy gas actually sound like the dragon outside for Minecraft.
Working on big updates is very exhausting due to tight deadlines. But literally at Minecraft Live,
Let's go to bed.
these shaders aren't ready for Java yet, and for now, they'll only come to beta.
I'm excited for the vibrant visuals.
Java, and we're exploring how to do it. But the first version will be available on compatible Bedrock devices in the coming months.
So now Mojang is making small drops, which also won't even be released for Java in time. To be honest,
Let's turn to easy mode for now.
but the best update in a while, because Minecraft Live showed absolutely nothing except the gaslight and shaders. Minecraft Live was literally centered around just those two things, because they published snapshots months before Minecraft Live. People already know what's going to be. There's so little content that Minecraft Live could literally be summed up in a 5-minute update rundown, and the other 55 minutes are just meaningless chatter about nothing. Minecraft Live has turned from a major event everyone was looking forward to into one where everyone is asking, is that it? Next in the video, I'd like to give the developers ideas for updates the Minecraft community has been asking for a long time. The first one I want to start with is the weather update. Have you ever thought about the fact that Minecraft only has 4 types of weather? Rain, snow, thunderstorm, and sun. Why isn't there, for example, overcast weather, where it's not raining, but there's no sun either, because clouds block the sunlight? Overcast weather creates a whole new atmosphere. Why not foggy weather too? It could appear after rain or near bodies of water. Again, it adds atmosphere to the game. In Minecraft, clouds serve no purpose, and they're so ugly that people just turn them off in seconds. Because of the clouds much created 15 years ago, it's impossible to add new types of weather. How can you have cloudy weather without clouds? Clouds need to be completely reworked, and that would be a difficult task, because they'll not only need to be redesigned, but also optimized if the developers decide to make it out of cubes. Then for optimization, they'll have to increase the size of the cloud block and make it a solid color without pixels. Also, cloud blocks should move across the world, and clouds should block sunlight depending on their density. Small clouds.
That's cool. That should be a cool update. Cloud update. The weather update.
These clouds move, we from Strong with lightning, grass would sway a little. With wind, there would be noticeable wind particles that affect most in-world effects. With strong wind, the player would be able to slightly making it harder to against the wind faster.
Okay, let's finish the.
Trees. It would look very good. Rain itself should also be improved. It hasn't changed since it was added in 2010. Rain should look better and work in combination. Rain should have different intensities because right now it has two states. Either it's raining or it's not. Minecraft doesn't have rain. It always falls at the same speed and density. This needs to change. Imagine how beautiful snow would look with a new flooding physics system. It would massively improve immersion and overall perception of the game. Also, snow and rain should fall below the clouds, while right now they fall at any height, no matter how far they fall. I don't think it would be difficult for the developers to set a specific height for rain to start falling. Animation update. Animation update. I mean animations for both mobs and players. You might disagree, saying those animations are what make Minecraft. But then, why do recently added mobs have good animations, while the most common mobs still have animations from 2010? Look at how well animated the frog or the sniffer is. You can feel their movement, how smoothly they move from
Where's the leather? I need leather.
But what about comic books? Why are they ignored throughout the game's entire history? We need a full rework of all the animations. Make them more alive and realistic. Give them real eyes instead of just textures. Make it feel like they actually breathe and exist in the world. The player's animations should also be updated. Take the jump, for example. The player doesn't jump, but just levitate in the air. These animations will happen because back then it wasn't possible to make them smoother. They were acceptable until about 2020, but in 2025, it looks lazy for a company like Mojang, which makes one of the most popular games in the world. We need first-person item animations, throwing animations where ladder climb animations. But totally need it should sway in the player's hand, throwing animations. Swimming animations will always rise up. Literally every animation should be updated. It deeply affects the way players perceive the game. I think many people know action and stuff, where nearly all animations were changed and they look really cool. Why doesn't Mojang just hire the action and stuff team to make animations for the actual game instead of a mod? I think if the developers really wanted to, they could create amazing animations that would change Minecraft for the better. Sound update. Sound is no less important than the visual part of the game. It sets the mood and atmosphere. 15 years have passed since the game's release. The game still has no
Like, here's still leather. I'm glad leather.
and only in a recent snapshot did they add ambient sound for the desert. Just listen to how much that affects the overall feel of the game. Imagine if the devs brought this to every biome in the overworld and the end. I'm not mentioning the nether because the nether update already added ambient sound there, and it sounds amazing.
Oh, I'm stupid. I need books. Let's get some.
I can understand why they haven't added it to the end yet. They'll probably do it during the actual end update, but why haven't they added it to the overworld since the nether update? It makes no sense, especially considering that the overworld is where players...
Yeah, Minecraft needs more ending stuff.
Sounds really strange. The overall sound design also needs an overhaul. Sound should have physics. For example, there should be echoes in caves.
Okay.
And during rain, if the player goes inside a building and cave,
Okay, let's make some chests for the storage room.
rain should sound different depending on what block it's hitting.
What? Why? Stop. Live stream. Sorry, that was my mouth.
We also need proximity voice chat between players. This feature would add fun and convenience to communication. And of course, it should be toggleable in the settings.
Oh, guys, where the bicep? Oh, this is so that the Minecraft monster.
Thunder should work like this. The closer you are, the louder and more intense it is. The farther you are, the softer and more delayed the sound will be. Again, since the game's release, sounds in Minecraft have barely changed, and they are now very outdated. Mob sounds are still okay, but overclocking sounds are really outdated. They should be refreshed. We also need small interaction sounds when players do things.
Chests. Dude, I'm watching a video and I'm getting distracted.
Nature update. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of nature is trees. And in Minecraft, there's a bit of a problem with them. Their design was created over 10 years ago. Since then, most of what we see are just oak blocks 3 to 5 blocks tall. Yes, there are also larger trees, but they are much rarer and look significantly better. Forests need more variety in tree shapes. They can be any form the developers can imagine. You might say that chopping large trees would be inconvenient, and I'd agree with you. That's why there should be a new mechanic where chopping a tree requires breaking the bottom log multiple times. The number of hits depends on how many leaves the tree has. The traditional tree chopping method often leaves floating leaves, since you might miss a single one. With the new system, once the tree is felled, all the leaves fall down as well. These fallen leaves will disappear over time, but now they'll stay on the ground instead of floating midair. The fallen leaves will slow the player down slowly, making them.
Okay, so this will be Simi's chest, and this will be another person's chest.
Just
So this will be Simi's row of chests.
They look too clean and sterile, as if someone's tidied enough after, instead of them being rolled in one. This could be changed.
This is gonna be a storage house.
Occasionally appears in trees, moss that grows both on trees and on the ground, even on fallen logs and spreading to nearby stone. Sticks would naturally generate on the ground under trees and could be picked up with fish at different grass heights, dried grass, mushrooms growing on trees and logs, and various weeds to diversify vegetation and give forests more depth. The bottom of the trees could be partially covered in grass. In a recent snapshot, Mojang added falling leaves.
Turn it down.
And dried fallen leaves, which already add more variety and beauty to forests. But why only dried ones? Wouldn't it make more sense to add regular ones too? That would bring even more diversity to the forest.
I don't want to get
I
copyrighted.
understand it only grows near bodies of water and is pretty rare, which disappointed me a bit. Water effects should also be added. For example, during rain, you should see droplets hitting the surface. When a player is in water, waves should appear around them. The same for boats.
That's cool.
Waves should
Minecraft should
also
add
appear along beaches. When opening a chest underwater, bubbles should float up and pop rather than just disappear. Water
Why?
splashes like in the trailer should be added when a block or mob
Yeah.
falls into water, with splash height depending on fall height. A new type of stick could be added in.
I want,
Plants should rustle slightly as a player gets near them.
I want.
From players and mobs should remain for a short time. In a recent snapshot, a new type
I don't
of
know
flower was
actually,
added.
maybe not.
Unfortunately, it only comes in one color and
Maybe
we
not.
definitely need more flower variations. Reeds should grow near the edges of the The return of the old rose would be welcome. I still don't understand.
I'll tell you when I'm hungry.
instead of just adding the on beaches, palm trees with coconuts could sometimes germinate, and near them, the crab from the mangrove could
Can you get me chicken noodle soup?
still with the great plums to eat all the moss from the waterfalls.
And what else
We
is
could
there?
add large lily pads for easier traversal, and smaller ones that players can't stand on.
Then no.
Finally, add fireflies. Yes, the firefly bush looks cool, but it's still not the same. Fireflies wouldn't be enough.
Crafters, zombies.
Effects that appear near players at creating magical light and atmosphere. Rivers should generate at different elevations. This would allow for waterfalls. We already have something similar in lush caves, but those are underground. Why not do it on the surface? With a river update, you could get a new cascade biome where multiple water sources fall from various levels. Very beautiful and vanilla friendly. In China, there are mountains called Tianzi. They look amazing, and I think they'd fit perfectly in Minecraft. A volcano biome would also be a great addition, useful for its abundance of lava. There could be a large crater biome, as rare as the mushroom biome. A geyser biome could generate a new block and blast strong gusts of air, pushing players up onto the summit. These blocks could also be redstone activated and generate a new lava cave systems. In the Caves and Cliffs update, Mojang revamped caves. They now look much better and got 2 new biomes, mesh caves and dripstone caves. Both are beautiful and detailed, but Mojang forgot 2 very important ones: frozen caves and sand caves. Frozen caves will have icicles and ice instead of stalactites, and sand caves will be filled with sand and cacti. There could also be toxic caves. This idea was inspired by Subnautica, where there are poisonous zones that damage the player. Something similar could work in Minecraft. When entering a toxic zone, players would receive poison, making cave exploration more dangerous. Caves could also randomly collapse. If the player steps on a cracked stone, they fall through. Now about structures. The world lacks small structures that would make exploration more interesting. These wouldn't be loot heavy, just visual points of interest. We already have sunken and broken ships, but for some reason, not intact ones. On full ships, we could encounter villager pirates guarding the loot. We also have ruined villages with zombie villagers. But what about sunken ones with drowned mobs? That would look perfectly vanilla. Speaking of villages, I don't understand why there are none in the jungle biome. Sure, the devs would need to dig some method, but jungles are one of the oldest biomes, and players already avoid them. Adding villages would help. Same goes for cherry blossom biomes. They're beautiful, and villages would fit in perfectly. And don't get me started on swamps and badlands. These biomes are
Just
totally
leave me
overlooked.
alone.
When it comes to mobs, Minecraft is seriously lacking birds.
Please
They may
leave
not
me
have much
alone.
use, but hey, pandas are in the game, and they're basically there for atmosphere. Birds could at least drop feathers, making early game feather collection easier. Birds are some of the most common animals in the real world. Not adding them to Minecraft is strange. We also need more mob variants. Mojang stopped at the most basic types, but why leave out the sheep? They could easily have different looks, and beyond sheep, there are tons of mobs that deserve variants. Deer could live mainly in cold biomes and help bring life to Minecraft's world. Their hides could be used to craft bundles, making it a bit harder to obtain. One of the most iconic forest animals is the bear, but Minecraft only has polar bears. Why? Grizzly bears should be added. They'd be neutral, fish for food, hunt animals, and gather honey and berries. Sharks could swim in oceans, adding more life and maybe even danger. Imagine a drowned riding a shark with a trident.
Okay.
That would be hilarious. Seals could live in ice biomes, giving polar bears something to hunt instead of just standing around. Seals would flee when attacked. Penguins could also inhabit cold biomes, sliding on their bellies. If tamed, they could fetch loot from the oceans. Owls would live in forests, sleeping during the day and hunting at night. Ducks would swim in rivers and lakes. Flamingos would appear in savanna water pools. The unicorn would be a very rare variant of the horse, about as rare as a pink sheep. A long time ago, during the Minecraft biome vote, Mojang showed us 6 biomes they wanted to update: savanna, desert, badlands, swamp, taiga, and mountains. The last 3 have already been updated, but the first 3 are still waiting. In the savanna update, they showed the baobab tree, termites, and a new one, the ostrich, which hides its head in the sand. I'm still curious what they had planned for termites. I never really figured out how they'd fit in, unless just as a detail for nature. In the desert update, we were shown palm trees and a meerkat mob, which stands on its hind legs and could be tamed with fish. In the Badlands update, they showed tumbleweed, a new cactus tunnel, and finally, a new ball for launching. Mojang themselves showed us a door, which means they could figure out how to add them. And yes, Mojang, even though this biome vote was 5 years ago, players are still waiting for these biome updates. And finally, seasons. I think they should be implemented as a separate toggle in the world creation series. The player can choose whether they want to play with this feature or not. The game would then include different seasons that affect the world around you. In summer, everything would look normal, green grass and leaves. In autumn, everything would turn yellow, creating a cozy fall atmosphere. In winter, snow would gradually fall, layer by layer. Rivers would freeze over, and you wouldn't be able to grow crops unless you built a greenhouse. In spring, the snow would melt, and everything would bloom, smoothly transitioning back into summer. Each season would last about 10 in-game days, though I think there should be an option in the settings to adjust that number to whatever the player finds comfortable. This is where the first part ends, and I'm already making the second part, in which other topics will be touched upon, such as food balance, the winter and desert update, as well as various little things.
This guy stole my outro.
I'm sure we've all been in that situation where something exciting happens, and you start making positive future plans in your head. Filled with optimism and motivation, you can't hold back and end up sharing your ideas and ambitions with family and friends. You feel confident it will all go as planned, but then, at some point, those plans fall through, leaving you not only disappointed, but also having to explain to everyone you shared it with why things didn't work out this time. It's an uncomfortable experience because we often want to share our ideas with those close to us. Yet it seems that every time we reveal our plans, something inexplicably goes wrong. Everything seems smooth, but after sharing, it's like the energy just dissipates. So, why am I bringing this up
I'm
in the
gonna
context
remove
of
this
Minecraft? Well, it actually parallels how
this
Mojang
thing
handles
here.
updates. The developers share
Because it
exciting
doesn't make
updates for the future,
sense.
but later we find out they couldn't deliver, missed the mark, or decided to scrap the ideas entirely. Remember the fireflies discussed in Minecraft Live, meant to add atmosphere to the game? Or the bundle they previewed back in 2021, almost 3 years ago now? Yes, I know they recently added the bundle in the snapshot. But how many other ideas have been abandoned forever? When you share your ideas too soon, it's like you're getting ahead of yourself. You're showing the map, but the path hasn't been traveled yet. That's why I believe Mojang should stop announcing their plans to the public. It kills all the hype for updates, which already come only twice a year. People lose interest in the updates as soon as they know what's in them. Take the recent 1.22 announcement, for example. They showed a new biome and a new map. Sure, it introduces new mechanics and blocks, but if I'm being honest, most people stopped caring just days after the reveal. Nobody talks about it because it felt underwhelming, and the hype fizzled out. Minecraft's hype is fading, and Mojang helping by revealing everything they're working. This bothers me because Minecraft has unlimited potential. Let me draw a comparison with another game, Counter-Strike. The developers of Counter-Strike never announce updates in advance, whether it's a major release or a small patch. Updates drop at random times, and you never know what's coming. Maybe a new map, a new weapon, or an entire operation. Big updates are rare, just like in Minecraft. But the hype for a Counter-Strike update is massive. Fans comb through every bit of information. Data miners are constantly looking for new files, and the developers subtly tease the fans, changing a banner on their profile or reposting something, hinting at what's to come. When the update finally hits, it's explosive. Everyone's streaming, making videos, eager to see what's new. But I can't say the same for Minecraft. There's almost no hype around the updates because the developers already shared everything, and honestly, I didn't even notice when update 1.21 dropped since we already knew everything about it. Some may disagree with me, but I suggest that Mojang keep future updates completely under wraps until release. Let the players themselves build up the excitement. Maybe it'll be an end update, or perhaps a winter update. That would be far better than the current approach. There's a saying, value is created through scarcity. Keeping updates secret would increase their value and, in turn, people's interest in the game. It would also ease the pressure on developers, as they wouldn't need to rush to meet deadlines for features they'd already revealed, and fans might be less critical. The most memorable people are those who leave an air of mystery, a sense of unfinished stories. Think about it. Who intrigues you more? Those who reveal everything about themselves right away, or those you find yourself trying to understand piece by piece? I've always been drawn to enigmatic individuals, the ones you know little about. The more I tried to uncover their layers, the more I found myself fascinated by them. They don't lay all their cards on the table, but instead keep a shroud of mystery around them. And it's precisely this veil of secrecy that sparks curiosity. It's not a coincidence. This entire process is the magic of the unknown. Now let's move on to the main topic. What updates do we need in Minecraft? Nature update. By this, I mean the overworld, the forests, biomes, and overall atmosphere. Since this is the primary dimension where we spend most of our time, it should feel the most immersive for players. Let's start with clouds. What do clouds add to the game? Are they an important part of the world, contributing atmosphere? Not really. Currently, they're just small, flat rectangles at a fixed height, dull and uninspiring, to the point where most players just turn them off. We all know how clouds look in real life. They're at varying heights and have different volumes. Just imagine dynamic clouds in Minecraft, with varied height and size. It would add so much beauty and atmosphere. For instance, you might be going about your day and see a distant storm cloud with lightning. And just like in real life, you'd know rain is on the way. And speaking of rain, it also needs an overhaul. Right now, rain starts and stops abruptly, and it's global, covering the entire world no matter how far you travel. Even if you fly above the clouds, it still rains. Rain should depend on the location of the clouds, with different intensities in different areas, starting gradually from a drizzle to a full storm or downpour. Rain should be below the clouds, which would be at different heights and span across larger areas. Clouds would also render at farther distances than regular blocks, so players can see where they're located, with more detailed rendering for nearby clouds and simplified for distant ones. This approach wouldn't impact performance significantly, because distant clouds would load easily, while closer ones would load in more detail. Clouds could even be a solid block of one color, optimizing the game. All of this would create an incredibly immersive atmosphere in Minecraft. Just imagine flying with Elytra through massive clouds that captivate you, making each flight unique. Picture yourself soaring above the clouds, with the bright sun shining, while heavy rain pours below you. Pretty cool, right? Now, let's talk about rivers in Minecraft. They're decent, but they have their limitations. For example, the water in them is always static, unlike in real life, where water flows in one direction. Waterfalls could make the terrain generation stunning, with rivers flowing from mountains down to the sea or ocean. This might require some adjustments to water mechanics for better optimization with flowing rivers. Alongside rivers, terrain generation would also need to evolve to create a seamless, natural look. Something like this would truly elevate the Minecraft experience. Forests in Minecraft could use more variety and detail to make them feel alive and captivating. I propose adding more tree variants to existing biomes and incorporating fallen trees in the Java edition to create a more natural look. Sticks that fall from trees would lie on the ground and could be picked up. Vines could grow on tree trunks for added visual appeal, while moss could naturally spread throughout forests, covering stones entirely. Adding weeds as a natural variation among regular grass would diversify the terrain. These weeds could also grow in abandoned garden beds. Leaves would slowly fall from trees, and shorter grass patches could grow alongside regular grass. Leaves might accumulate beneath trees or float on water. Players could stack these leaves to create shelters or craft leaf carpets. When a tree is chopped down, hanging leaves could gradually fall to the ground, adding a touch of realism. Fireflies, revisiting the concept from 2021, could enhance the atmosphere in nighttime forests without interacting with frogs. Introducing new mobs would bring additional depth to the game. Deer could inhabit cold biomes, providing venison, a new food source. Forest bears might serve as rare mobs, dropping meat and occasionally appearing with cubs. Birds, even with minimal functionality, would greatly enhance the game's atmosphere, fluttering around trees and filling biomes with their songs. Beaches could feature palm trees and crabs, as teased during mob votes. Wild boars in forests could be neutral mobs that attack only if provoked. The vulture, introduced in the biome vote, could live in the Badlands, scavenging peaceful animals. This biome might also include flowering cacti and tumbleweeds. Butterflies could be daytime ambient mobs, complementing fireflies as nighttime equivalents. Meerkats from the biome vote could inhabit deserts and badlands. Glow squids should emit actual light with glowing particles surrounding them, instead of merely having bright textures. A new water mob, jellyfish, could have different colors based on depth. These jellyfish could also be used to craft a unique block, solid when dry, but allowing water to fill it, enabling swimming inside without spilling. In the biome vote, we were shown a new tree, the baobab, as well as a new mob, the ostrich, which hides its head in the sand, and also a termite nest. It's interesting to think about what mechanics could be developed with them. All mobs, passive and hostile, should have at least 2 variants to reduce monotony and enhance the world's diversity. In the biome vote, we were shown a new tree, the baobab, as well as a new mob, the ostrich, which hides its head in the sand, and also a termite nest. It's interesting to think about what mechanics could be developed with them. All mobs, passive and hostile, should have at least 2 variants to reduce monotony and enhance the world's diversity. Large flowers should fit into large pots, a feature oddly missing in the game. Adding more variations for all stone types, bricks, chiseled bricks, and pillars would expand building options. Roses, replaced by poppies in a past update, could return with multiple color options. Small environmental effects could add realism. For instance, water splashes of varying sizes when objects or mobs fall into water. Rain could create droplet effects on water, and splashing animations would enhance immersion. Waterfall clouds. Underwater chests could release bubbles when opened. Dust in caves would add atmosphere. Dune grass sometimes could grow in beach sands like in real life, making the environment more realistic. Occasionally, cacti could bloom with flowers. Sticks could be repurposed for building, such as crafting larger sticks or creating leaf hedges for decorative purposes. Additionally, bark from stripped logs should drop as an item, usable for crafting paper or reapplying it to logs. Mushrooms will grow on trees. Items will illuminate their surroundings if the player equips them or if they are dropped on the ground. The world of Minecraft currently has very few structures that truly motivate players to explore. Yes, the Minecraft world is vast, but it feels mostly empty and uninteresting to traverse. To make exploration more engaging, a variety of new structures should be added. These could include small and large structures, or even old ones reimagined with new blocks in different biomes. In recent updates, the developers seem to enjoy adding horror elements. In the Wild update, it was the Warden, terrifying players with its sudden appearance. Now they've introduced the creaking, which appears in forests at night and scares players when they're not looking. This brings me to the idea of spiders crawling on walls. This would make spiders more dangerous enemies and add a new horror aspect to the game. Lastly, Diverse weather effects like gusts of wind or even blizzards should be included. Currently, all we have is rain or snow, with the same intensity. Imagine the atmosphere if storms or something similar were introduced. At night, there could be northern lights, falling stars, or even meteors. Sound update. Sound is often easy to overlook. It's easy to get caught up in a game's visuals, and it makes sense. After all, the way a game looks is the most obvious aspect. How good does it look? Does it have ray tracing, glow effects, beams, and all the other graphical features that transform it from a nice-looking game into something stunning? However, once you dig deep, you'll realize that a game's sound design plays just as significant a role as its graphics. Ambient sound in Minecraft is supposed to set the mood, and surprisingly, it's done incredibly well in the Nether. But for some reason, the overworld is almost completely devoid of atmosphere. Walking through the overworld, you hear nothing but your own footsteps. It's strange. Just listen to the stark difference between the dimensions.
Hi, Owen. Owen texted me on my live stream.
The overworld needs ambient sounds for every biome and time of day. Beyond ambience, the general sound design should also be revamped. Caves could feature echo effects, sound could be muffled when inside buildings, and much more. The sound of footsteps on different blocks should also be refined. And even the sounds of items in your inventory should feel dynamic and varied. These changes would make the overworld more vibrant, immersive, and alive, enhancing the player's connection to the world, all through the power of improved sound design. The End update. The End is one of the most mysterious and at the same time one of the most underrated dimensions in Minecraft. Despite its enormous potential for development, it has remained unchanged for 7 years. During this time, Mojang completely transformed the Nether by adding new biomes, structures, mobs, and entire mechanics. But the End, with its empty islands and rare end cities, is still overlooked. This is especially strange given how many creative opportunities this dimension offers. It's time to revamp the End and turn it into a full-fledged, exciting adventure filled with new discoveries. The End should receive everything. New biomes, mobs, ores, structures, and of course, new bosses. This dimension deserves to become not just the final destination of the journey, but a separate world that players will want to explore again and again. Each biome should have a unique atmosphere, emphasized by its sound design. Besides biomes, the End needs new structures. Currently, the only significant build is the End City, but that is clearly not enough. Among the new structures, there could be ruined End cities, small houses or outposts filled with useful loot, underground labyrinths with traps and secret rooms, shipwrecks, which can now be found not only in End cities, villages inhabited by new peaceful or neutral mobs, new dungeons similar to End cities, and most importantly, a redesign of strongholds. The design of this structure has not changed since Minecraft's release. This structure should be completely overhauled, with new rooms, loot, and designs. I believe that developers can handle this perfectly because in the Tricky Trials update, a new dungeon was added with a huge number of new rooms, new mechanics, and new loot. Enderite is a new ore that will spawn in new caves in the End, and can only be mined with a netherite pickaxe. To smelt it, you will need a special furnace made from a blast furnace, endstone, and diamonds. Enderite upgrades netherite tools and armor, adding unique properties. For example, when upgrading armor, the player can choose between increasing durability or speed. Enderite elytra will be able to fly faster or be more durable, depending on the choice. Most likely, an entirely new crafting table with its interface will be needed for upgrades. The second ore is malachite, which can be used to make decorative blocks as well as teleportation blocks. If you place a teleporter and connect it to another teleporter using malachite, you can move blocks over any distance. Also, in the new biomes, there will be a new block that will launch the player upward if they step on it. The block will work like a slime block, but unlike slime blocks, which have inertia and gradually lose height, this new block will constantly push the player up several blocks. There will also be a new plant that will push the player upward when standing on its very top. A unique weather system could be introduced where visibility worsens and the rain falls upside down. New mobs will make each biome unique. For example, Ender Slime, from which you can create new Ender Slime blocks. Instead of pushing the player away, the block will launch the player upward at high speed, creating a new fast travel mechanic. With this block, players will be able to move quickly both vertically and horizontally. Jellyfish and enderfish, which live in water bodies and serve as a food source for goblins in the nether. Flying creatures that would perfectly fit the atmosphere of the end. Among hostile mobs, new types of endermen with various abilities can be added. Fast but weak ones, or slow but durable ones. Their design could be inspired by Minecraft dungeons, where endermen look very stylish and cool. In addition, new purple water could be introduced. Perhaps regular water from the overworld that turns purple in the end and gains new properties, such as dealing damage to players. This means you can no longer escape from endermen by pouring water under you. Unique guardians for structures could also be introduced, like golems guarding end cities. One of the main changes in the end should be an update to the boss system. Currently, the only significant event in the end is the dragon fight. However, the fight itself feels outdated, and its mechanics are not engaging enough. It is suggested to remove the starting island with the dragon. Instead, players would spawn in a random point at the end, and the dragon would become one of several bosses that need to be defeated to reach the final opponent. The dragon's nest would be a central element of the battle. Now the dragon would protect its egg, adding purpose to the fight. After defeating the dragon, the player would receive its egg. It would be required to summon a new boss. However, before encountering it, the player would need to overcome many trials. The next boss is inspired by the End Reimagined map for Bedrock Edition, created by third-party developers. At the top of a tall tower filled with traps and loot, the player would meet a boss chained to the structure. To free it, players would need to place ender eyes into special blocks.
We need to charge your iPad for
This
tomorrow.
boss would
I
have
can't
three
live stream.
stages.
So we
First,
don't need this.
destroying
I
the
do need
towers
it.
that regenerate its health. Second, an aerial battle dodging its attacks. And finally, a face-to-face encounter in a confined space. Victory would grant a key to the final structure, marking the climax of the journey. This final structure would consist of 3 towers, 2 auxiliary towers, and 1 central tower. In the 2 towers, players would need to activate mechanisms using the key and the dragon egg. After this, a portal to the Endkeeper would open. The structure would be filled with traps and lots of loot to help players prepare for the final battle. Here, players could find rare resources to craft weapons and armor for the ultimate showdown. The Endkeeper, the final boss, would be a true test of all player skills. This fight would combine elements from all previous battles, including dodging, parkour, archery, and melee combat. It could summon Endermen to complicate the battle.
Live stream, be quiet.
Endermen in the end would stop attacking players, as they were under the Keeper's control. Winter update. Winter biomes in Minecraft have always felt a bit empty, just areas covered in snow with frozen water. However, the winter update could completely transform these frosty landscapes, adding more details, interesting mechanics, and visual diversity. All foliage in winter forests remains green, which looks odd. While this works for spruce trees, regular trees with green leaves in winter seem strange since leaves fall off in real life. At the very least, they could be made white, which would fit the Minecraft aesthetic. Even better, a new biome with bare trees could be added, featuring unique new sticks I mentioned earlier. Snow particles would fall from the trees, creating a magical winter atmosphere. Snow would also filter through the leaves, covering the ground beneath. Snowfall could be made more realistic. Snow would accumulate layer by layer without requiring special commands. The snow itself could be reworked. Currently, it falls in a uniform trajectory at the same speed. It would be amazing to see snow interacting with wind, falling at varying speeds, as it does in real life. Blizzards could also be added, where visibility drops, heavy snowfalls occur, and strong winds blow. Imagine the immersive atmosphere of a blizzard. All blocks in winter biomes could automatically or manually become snow-covered. snowy dirt block could be introduced to prevent green grass from appearing under items. Snow would now pass through fences, gates, and other objects. If you break the block under the snow, it would no longer disappear but fall gently to the ground. Snow falling on water would freeze it. All vegetation in winter biomes would become snow cover to maintain the winter theme. Snow bricks would be a new building material crafted from snow. Ice could also be refined into ice bricks or polished ice, and icy glass, resembling regular glass panes, could be introduced. In some biomes, mines would be completely made of ice. Inside, icicles would serve as stalactite equivalents, and could also generate on blocks and trees. Thin ice would break if you stand on it, causing you to fall into the water. Rivers would feature a new type of ice that doesn't break when walking on it, but shatters if you jump. A new weather effect, frost, would cause glass to become covered with a thin layer of ice during snowfalls, enhancing the atmosphere and evoking a sense of cold. Torches and campfires would now melt snow and ice around them, naturally creating paths through the snowy terrain. Sleds would be a new vehicle designed specifically for winter biomes, allowing fast travel across snow. However, sleds wouldn't work in non-snowy areas. Moving downhill would allow you to gain significant speed, but going uphill would slow you down. To maintain speed on inclines, you could hitch your wolf to the sled, letting you travel quickly. Mobs in winter biomes would also become snow-covered. Penguin, a cute, neutral mob that inhabits winter biomes. It can be tamed and adds life to these areas. Deer, already introduced in the nature update. It brings charm to winter biomes. Frozen Zombie, a dangerous new enemy inspired by Minecraft dungeons. Its attacks inflict slowness, making escape more difficult. Yeti, a legendary creature of the winter biomes. Rare and powerful, it guards its territory. It won't attack unless provoked, but getting too close will trigger aggression. Iceologer, hostile mob of the 2020.
What are you doing, Danny?
It attacks with clouds of flying ice and returns to make winter
Now,
biomes more challenging.
why are you making all those noises?
Be quiet, I'm live streaming.
New effect, freezing. A new effect could be added and applied through a bow enchantment. Arrows shot from such a bow would temporarily freeze mobs, giving players time to take cover or strike back. Skulk Update. I can't say much about this update. Its main hook is the portal in the ancient city, and the developers hints about a new boss they want to add. The Skulk update should naturally introduce a new dimension, accessed by activating the portal. However, it shouldn't feel meaningless. Perhaps this will be the hardest dimension yet. To enter, players might need to defeat the Ender Dragon, who would drop a key for the portal. Entering unprepared would mean 0 chances of survival. This dimension would be a dark, ominous place teeming with creatures of unmatched power. Mobs would emit eerie sounds, signaling their presence. The Skulk Swarm would be small skulk creatures moving along walls and floors like spiders. Feeding on light, torches and lanterns would go out in their presence. They could also inflict blindness on players for a short time when attacking. Exploring this dimension would be worthwhile, as it would feature the best loot in the game. Underground caves completely covered in skulk would contain skulkins that hatch new mobs. Various ruined structures would generate across the world, hinting that it was once a normal realm before the skulk infection took over. Skulk crystals found in chests could be used to craft new armor and tools. Likely, the new boss hinted at by developers would serve as the final encounter for this dimension. Either update. This update seems even more unlikely than the previous one. The Ether mod was created over 10 years ago, and players have always wanted its addition, often questioning why we have the Nether. But no Ether. This dimension could be the next destination for players after conquering the Nether. While I doubt a Heaven dimension will ever be added, it feels too far from the vanilla Minecraft style and would require immense work. Part of me still holds hope that one day we'll see this beautiful realm in the game. Desert Update. A desert update would be fantastic, because the biome feels too empty. It has barely changed throughout Minecraft's history. Future updates must enhance this biome. As shown during the biome vote, a desert update could introduce palm trees, most likely generating in a new oasis biome and a new one, the meerkat. It's unclear what meerkats would do, but they could stand on two legs and perhaps eat fish. Small new structures should generate throughout the desert, hinting at a past civilization. Breaking bosses could yield treasure maps. Occasionally, players would encounter quicksand, working similarly to powdered snow. It would pull players down and cause suffocation damage. Prolonged exposure to the sun could trigger heat stroke, causing nausea. Players would need to seek shade or drink a water bottle to recover, giving water bottles more utility. However, that's not enough. The desert pyramid needs a full rework. While I love the current pyramid, its loot can be collected in seconds by breaking a single block. In the reworked version, players would face puzzles and loot chests scattered throughout the structure. Breaking blocks would not be an option, as players would suffer the mining fatigue effect, similar to ocean monuments. Players would have to fully explore and solve all challenges. Mummies would spawn in these revamped pyramids. While Mojang has said they won't add mummies due to their similarity to husks, they could work as exclusive mobs within desert pyramids. Killing mummies would drop paper and rotten flesh. In the final room, players would face the Pharaoh, a mini-boss whose defeat would lift the mining fatigue effect. Layers of sand would generate similarly to snow layers in snowy biomes, adding depth to desert terrain. Sandstone bricks, cobblestone, and stone blocks could have sandy variants created by sandstorms. Sandstorms would reduce visibility and introduce unique sand particles, adding an immersive atmosphere. Imagine getting caught in the middle of a sandstorm. Truly a breathtaking experience. Other things. In this update, I will include things that could be added alongside a larger update. Make invisible mechanics, like potential hunger, saturation restoration, or health recovery, visible in the UI when holding food or healing items. At low health, the interface should visually crack to reflect the danger. The achievements window should be larger and utilize the full screen. If you look away while breaking a block, the progress shouldn't immediately reset, but pause for a brief moment. Each enchanted book should have its own texture to identify it without needing to hover over it. Allow placing blocks in gaps in front, above, or below, even if the targeted side isn't visible. Fix the tiny gaps in item models. Most items have these, and once you notice them, it's hard to unsee. Add tooltips to enchanted books, explaining what each enchantment does. Mobs shouldn't just appear out of nowhere. There should be a smooth spawning animation. Enable movement or boat rowing while the inventory is open, as freezing in place feels restrictive. Add icons to the main menu for better button navigation. Display potion duration as icons in the top right corner, removing the need to open the inventory constantly. When hovering over a shulker box, show its contents without needing to place and open it. The brewing stand interface should include recipes. Constantly searching Google while using it gets tedious, and built-in recipes would encourage more potion use. Transparent item frames should be a craftable option using glass. Revamped spawn egg textures to either be 3D or feature mob heads, as the current design is confusing, especially with more mobs being added. Introduce a single button mechanic for sitting and lying down anywhere, adding more immersion and customization. Add sleeping bags that let players skip the night without resetting their spawn point. Finally, allow players to place slabs vertically, which would significantly expand building possibilities and excite the community. The spyglass could show information about blocks or mobs when looking at them. When exiting a world, the game should take a screenshot. This screenshot could replace the dirt loading screen when re-entering the world. Items placed on the crafting table, anvil, or enchantment table should appear visually on the block itself. Replace outdated PNG animations for smoke and fire with better designed, blocky particle effects. Revamp the menu textures for interactable blocks to make them more appealing. It's 2024, but Minecraft still lacks character animations apart from swimming. There should be animations for holding maps, placing shields, rowing boats, riding horses, looking at compasses, climbing ladders, and using spyglasses. These animations should be visible in both first-person and third-person views, with an option to disable them for simplicity. Add the ability to carry chests instead of breaking them and picking up all the dropped items. Similarly, allow us to carry animals, as mob AI is often too clumsy, and moving them manually would be much easier. I still don't understand why Minecraft doesn't have the option to switch the white interface to a dark one. Introduce more pumpkin designs to diversify decorations. Adding a detailed eating animation would make the process visually satisfying. Show enchantments on items when held in hand, as in Bedrock Edition. An improved F3 screen, where every line can be customized. The ability to add worlds to favorites, with selected worlds always appearing at the top of the list. Emotes in Java Edition, allowing players to interact and communicate in fun ways with others. The ability to stack any slabs on top of each other. It's strange that this feature still isn't in the game. The ability to stack any slabs on top of each other. It's strange that this feature still isn't in the game.
Hate freaking creepers.
Cookies, paper, and bread can be crafted in a 2x2 crafting.
No!
Different textures for goat foods. I don't understand why they are all the same. Slabs can be combined into blocks in a shapeless recipe. Vertical planks should also be added, because horizontal planks don't always suit builds. Candles placed and lit on soul sand or soul soil will now emit soul flames. Automatic running with one button. Firework rockets will launch into the air immediately from the ground. Ladders made from all types of wood. When picking up items, they will be displayed in the corner of the screen. Holding an emerald block will attract villagers to follow you, just like animals follow food. Right-clicking a tiny slime with a bucket puts it in there. Diagonal fences have long been needed in the game. Enchanted books show which items they can be applied to them. The texture of cauldrons should change if lava is inside, making them look extremely hot. And if powder snow is inside, it will cover them. Sponges can be placed directly on water without needing to find a block for them. Maps display in the tooltip. Stone tools can be crafted with any type of stone. Glass drops shards, which act like glowstone dust. Crafting them in a 2x2 grid creates a glass block bag. double doors will open together. When a tool breaks on your hotbar, it will be restocked by other items of the same type taken from your inventory. Slimes will take no fall damage. Secret name tags will have their own unique texture. Item frames can be dyed in different colors. The chest texture will differ depending on the type of wood it is made from. The same goes for bookshelves. This should have been in the game long ago. Improve the book recipe. Add new functions like crafting in one click, smithing table recipe book, brewing stand recipe, pin commonly used recipes, view lock recipes, flip through pages with your mouse wheel, and keep the crafting screen centered when opening the recipe book. Breaking grass or crops with a hoe will break a 3x3 area of the book, adding more functionality to the hoe. Villagers should not only be white, but also have different skin colors. A button that, when pressed, will display the item you pointed at in the chat, allowing players to see it. Wool of any color can be dyed. Charcoal can be used as an alternative way to craft black dye. Rotten flesh and poisonous potatoes can be used in the composter. Holding a block will show how many you have in your inventory. Horses will swim in water while being ridden instead of sinking, and force dismounting their rider. A search function in chests for quickly finding the item I need in a large and cluttered chest. An animation when transferring items. A new inventory and chest feature that sorts items, transfers, or stacks them into the chest. Tipped arrows are displayed in loaded crossbows, alongside a unique triple arrow texture for multi-shot crossbows. In creative mode, we can pick up blocks from any distance. 8 logs can be crafted directly into 4 chests. Right-clicking can harvest and plant crops immediately. Shift right-clicking an armor stand will swap its armor set with whatever armor you're currently wearing. Furnaces crafted from deep slate or black stone should have their own texture. Unique textures for tropical fish. More varieties of squid textures. Redstone update. Redstone mechanics haven't been updated in a long time. The most recent addition was the calibrated skulk sensor, but it doesn't seem like it will gain much popularity among players who love redstone. A redstone update should include the following features. Obsidian pressure plates. These would only trigger when players walk over them, offering more control and contraptions. Block placing dispensers. Dispensers would gain the ability to place blocks, including crops like wheat seeds or potatoes, adding more automation possibilities. The chute, a new automation block that accepts items from hoppers, droppers, or other methods. It drops items directly below it, perfectly centered every time. Chains can now connect blocks when moved by pistons. They visually determine connections, enabling creative new tricks in builds. The Ender Watcher, a new redstone input block that emits a signal when a player looks directly at it. Dispensers would now be able to insert discs into jukeboxes, including ambience discs. Pistons would be able to move blocks with data, like chests or furnaces. If the block cannot be moved to a valid position, it breaks and drops its contents. The Randomizer, a new redstone component crafted similarly to a comparator but using prismarine crystals. When powered, it randomly activates either the left or right output. Copper pipes, crafted from copper ingots and glass, these pipes would transport items from one point to another. Hoppers, droppers, or similar blocks can be used to input items into the pipes. These additions would bring fresh excitement to redstone mechanics and offer new possibilities for automation and creativity. Thank you for watching until the end. This was quite a lengthy video that took a while to make. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Minecraft is a special game in the gaming industry, a game that was released in 2010 and still gives people unforgettable emotions, a game that is loved at any age. Just imagine, the game had about 20 major updates that changed the world, mechanics, appearance. During this time, a huge amount of content was added, and the game is still alive and updated every 6 months. If you compare Minecraft in 2010 with today, it is a completely different game. To understand what updates we need, let's look at the updates that have been released throughout its existence. I will not mention the beta or alpha versions. I will only show you the big name updates. Let's start with the release of Minecraft, namely version 1.0. In this version, the end was added, and the final goal appeared in Minecraft, to kill the dragon. New structures have been added, villages, strongholds, and mineshafts. Potions, enchantment table, villagers, ghast and blaze were also added, but you might be thinking, where is the nether? It was added in Alpha 1.0. After the 1.0 update, Mojang added very little content in versions, so I'll skip those and start with 1.4 Pretty Scary Update. In 1.4, Pretty Scary Update added an anvil, a beacon, a command block, mob heads, and a lot of hostile mobs and boss, Wither. In 1.5 Redstone Update, as you already understood, updated Redstone added many mechanisms and many new mechanics. In 1.6, Horse Update, they added terracotta in different colors. As you already understood from the name, horses were added on which you can now quickly ride around the world. In 1.7, the update that changed the world, 11 new biomes, flowers, and colorful glass were added. In 1.8 Bountiful Update, a new structure was added, Ocean Monument, and new hostile mobs, Guardians and Elder Guardians. Banners, armor stand, new type of stone, and new doors. In 1.9 Combat Update, as you already understood from the name, the combat system was redesigned. Now players will not compete to see who can click the mouse faster, but will hit at the right time for more damage. Shields and the ability to take things in the other hand were added. The end has also been updated, and after killing the dragon, you have access to other islands on which to spawn a new structure, the End City, in which lives a new hostile mob, a shulker, from which you can make a shulker box and carry a lot of things. Elytra was also added for fast movement around the world. In 1.10 Frostburn Update, a couple of mobs were added. This is where the update ends. In 1.11 Exploration Update, one new generated structure was added. Woodland Mansion and mobs like Vindicators, Evokers, and Vexes. Also, Totem of Undying was added. In 1.12 World of Color Update, multicolored blocks and beds, new mobs, parrots, and illusioner were added. A recipe book and knowledge book were also added. 1.13 Update Aquatic was a huge update. I can't list everything for you, but water in Minecraft was completely redesigned. It could pass through some blocks. The oceans also became much more beautiful. Fish, dolphins, and turtles finally appeared in the water. New abandoned structures, treasures, corals, kelp, and other things of which there are still a lot. 1.14th Village and Pillage Update was another huge update aimed at villages and villages. Villages have been completely redesigned. New types of villages for each biome. Professions for villagers. The trading system with villagers has been reworked. Villagers can now be attacked by pillagers and revengers. New interactive blocks, 12 new walls, 14 new stairs, and 14 new slabs. Banner patterns, crossbows, wandering traders, foxes, and much more. 1.15 Buzzy Bees was a small update. I can't even call it an update. Bees could easily have been added along with some other update. I don't understand why it was released separately. The 1.16 Nether update completely redesigned Nether, including 6 new biomes. Introduced new mobs like piglins, hoglins, and striders. Added netherite, a powerful upgrade for equipment, and much more. 1.17 Caves and Cliffs is a huge update that completely changed the caves and mountains in Minecraft, made the world 2 times larger in depth, introduced new mobs like the axolotl, goats, and glowsquid, added new blocks like amethyst, copper, and deep slate variants, added powder snow, new tree azalea, and much more. In 1.19, the Wild update added a new ancient city structure and a new mob for this structure, Warden. Sculpt will also now be generated in the world. Added a new biome, mangrove swamp, and a new mangrove tree and new mobs, frog, tadpole, and allay. 1.20 Trails and Tales added a new biome, cherry grove with new trees, and an underground trail ruin structure. Added 2 new mobs, sniffer and camel. New bamboo blocks, hanging sign, 2 new plants, chiseled bookshelf, a new archaeology system, and new pottery sherds and smithing templates from which you can decorate your armor. It is also not yet known what the new update 1.21 will be called, and we do not know all the content that will be, but now we know that a new structure will be added, trial chamber. Finally, more copper crafts, new interactive block, crafter, new spawner, and new hostile mob, breeze. If you look at these updates, you can understand that there were quite a few really good updates, and I want to remind you that the game has existed for more than 13 years, and this upsets me, since the game has huge potential, and the love of players who have already made a million mods, adding things that Mojang can't do for years, or can't do at all. The first big update with which we will start is, of course, the end update. This dimension has enormous potential, and literally anything can be added to this dimension. Biomes, mobs, ores, bosses, new structures, and much more. The end was last updated 7 years ago, and for some reason the developers focused on Overworld and did not update this dimension anymore. Minecraft players have been waiting for the end update for many years, but the developers don't seem to be doing it on purpose. In the end update, I want to see new biomes, as this dimension is too empty. But some of you probably think, but the end should be empty, and nothing needs to be changed there. Perhaps this is true. But why then did Mojang completely rework Nether? We added new biomes, new structures, new mobs that you can move around and even trade with. Overworld was also empty before, but now it is filled with a variety of biomes and everything possible. So new biomes must be in the end. I'm tired of seeing these endless empty flying islands on which End City is occasionally found. The end should look something like this. Also, ambient sounds must be added to these biomes. Just listen to how cool it sounds. Also, in the end dimension, I want to see new ore. I'm not asking you to add a lot of them. One is enough. Enderite ore will be found in the mines of the islands, and to get it you will need to first blow up the ore, and then extract it only with a netherite pickaxe. If you mine it with a diamond one, the ore will not fall out. This ore cannot be smelted in a regular furnace. For this, you need blast furnaces. This ore is similar to netherite ore in crafting, but instead of gold, you need diamonds. This ore will be used to upgrade netherite items, and to upgrade them, you will need an enderite template. An enderite sword, for example, does 1 more damage than a netherite sword. You can also improve elytra. They will have more strength. I also want to see more structures, not just End City. All sorts of small buildings, lanterns, abandoned structures, small houses, destroyed ships from End City, destroyed End City itself, various villages and other buildings. I also want to see new dungeons, because going to End only for loot from End City is quite the same. In these dungeons, there should be new mobs that will be very difficult to defeat without preparation. Something like Warden, but not with as much health. For example, a new golem that will guard End City or other buildings. New structures must be different from each other. If End City is a ground structure, then there should also be an underground structure with tunnels and all sorts of secret passages with very good loot. If there is a pillager camp in Overworld, then there should be an analog in the end. Also, a new building for a new mini-boss wouldn't hurt either. If we talk about mobs, then at the end, there should be flying creatures. They will add atmosphere to the biomes and immerse them more into this dimension. I also want to see the Ender Slime. It will be analogous to the usual one from Overworld. You can also see jellyfish and enderfish in reservoirs. They will serve as food, like Hoglin in the Nether. And of course, Endermans. I want to see new Endermen like the Mojang did in Minecraft Dungeons. Different types of Endermen, with different amounts of health and abilities. Some will be faster, but with a small amount of health, while others will be slow, but tenacious. In general, the developers of Minecraft Dungeons came up with a lot of new things for the end. They could implement them in our Minecraft. Since the end is the last dimension where the player enters, there should be a new final boss here. Killing the dragon should only be a warm-up before the main battle. Killing the dragon shouldn't be the end of Minecraft, because it's a very easy boss that people kill in a couple of seconds in speedruns. The developers have already come up with Minecraft Dungeons. This is Vengeful Heart of Ender. Of course, it needs a new structure that will spawn a couple of times on the world, like a stronghold. And to find this structure, the player will have to go to all new structures. For example,
We're live streaming this way.
which will lead to a new structure.
Are
The
you gonna
boss
charge it?
dungeon will have several stages. You will have to be able to handle a sword, shield,
Yeah.
and bow. And the battle
You
should
know how?
not be easy.
Yeah.
You will not be able to escape from him or build up, since this boss knows how to hit you through walls. In the battle, you will face not only the boss, but also other mobs that he will summon. After victory, a portal will appear in the center of the structure, entering which the credits will begin, and you
In a
will be taken
couple
back to the overworld.
minutes.
Stronghold needs to change too. It was added to
In a couple
1.0 in
minutes.
2011, and its design has not changed in any way. More than 10 years have passed, and the design has not changed at all. Mojang should rework this structure, make it more beautiful and interesting, with a lot of rooms and content. Since the player finds a stronghold at the end of the game, there should be a lot more chests with loot. The first thing I want to start with nature update is the seasons. Minecraft is divided into cold and warm biomes. I think this is not correct. Winter should not be at the same time as summer, so seasons should appear in Minecraft like in real life, so that the foliage gradually turns yellow in the fall, and later snow begins to fall, gradually covering the whole world in permafrost, so that after winter, the snow melts, and the trees begin to turn green. This would be cool to see in Minecraft, and I don't think it would be difficult to implement. I also don't want the seasons to affect the crops. I just want them to be a decoration for the world of Minecraft. The next thing I would like to see is an update to the forest. More diversity in trees. Fallen trees, which are in Minecraft Bedrock, but not in Java for some unknown reason. Ivy can also grow on trees. It looks very beautiful. We need more variety of grass, such as weeds. It can grow among regular grass, and will give variety to the plants. Also, fallen leaves from trees will accumulate under the trees, as well as fall on the water, and if you collect them in a heap, you can hide in these leaves. I want moss to grow in the forests. It's strange that there isn't any yet. Moss can also appear on stone and brick blocks from rain, or simply from the nearest moss block. Iron can rust from rain. The oxidation process can be stopped using honeycomb, as we can do with copper. Copper has the function of oxidation, but not iron rusts. This is weird. Weeds grow in garden beds if they have not been used for a long time. After cutting down a tree, after some time, the leaves that are in the air will fall to the ground. Leaves can be used to make a carpet. Mushrooms should grow on trees. I also want to be able to place sticks on the ground from different trees. In buildings, it will look very cool and natural. These sticks can be used to make a mini tree. I'm tired of seeing trees made from fences and leaves. When we stripped log by using axe, the bark does not fall out to us. This is strange. From the bark we could make paper, for example, and the bark can also be placed back if you remove the bark of a log by accident. I don't understand why we can only plant one flower per block. We need to add the ability to put more flowers in one block. It looks very nice. You can also put flowers in a pot. It's strange to me why this is still not available in Minecraft. I also want to see more small effects. When something falls into the water, splashes will come from the water, and the effect of rain on water looks very beautiful. The waterfalls must change too. Chests open underwater emit bubbles. Sculpt dust floating out of sculpt blocks. Glow squid particles. Alley trails. Flowing water droplets. The beach should also change. Palm trees will grow on it, and crabs and seagull will live on it. And of course add ambient sounds to the biomes. I also want the northern lights to sometimes appear at night in cold biomes. It looks very beautiful. Speaking of mobs, I want to see a deer. Deer is in many survival games, but it is not in Minecraft. He will live in cold biomes. Deer can have a lot of potential, from food to various crafts. For example, from his skin, it will be possible to make a bundle, which Mojang has not been able to add for several years. I also want to see a forest bear. We already have a white one, but for some reason, there is no forest bear. A bear is a mob that will give a lot of meat, but is quite rare. You can also meet a bear with a child. I also want to see birds. They may not have much functionality, but birds greatly diversify the world of Minecraft. In Minecraft Live 2021, we were shown fireflies. This mob could have added atmosphere to the biomes, but unfortunately fireflies were not added due to the fact that the Mojang learned that fireflies are poisonous to toads, and they did not want to add them to the game. I don't know why they didn't just remove the ability for frogs to eat fireflies. It's really weird. The mob that should appear in the water is a jellyfish. It will live in mines and in the oceans. In the ocean, the jellyfish will be of different colors, and in the mine it will be white. With jellyfish, it will be possible to make a new block that will have the properties of water, but in the form of a block. You can place a block and float through it, and the block will not spill like water does. I also want to see what Minecraft has already shown us in Biome Chooser. In the Savannah update, they should have added a new baobab tree and a new animal, ostrich, which knows how to hide its head in the sand. You can also see termites here. Perhaps they want to add a termite mound in which they will live. In Badlands update, they want to add vulture. Finally, it will be a bird. There will also be a new cactus and tumbleweed in the Badlands biome. Also, new menu sounds will be a cool feature. It would also be cool to rework the sound and add depth to it. There will be an echo in caves and confined spaces. It sounds very cool. And for those who don't like it, there should be an option to play with normal sound. The textures of the blocks, if they are next to each other, should be connected together. The glass must be transparent with one texture. We need variations of common mobs, such as cows, sheep, chickens, wolves, pigs, zombies, and others. Block textures can climb on top of each other, which makes the world more real.
Okay. We have gotten
And the last thing I
that
want to
done.
see in Nature Update is a complete reworking of biomes and structures, adding new biomes and structures that will diversify the world of Minecraft.
Okay, I'm almost done. Okay. Let's make Yes, you can join. Yes, you can join. Yes, you can join. Yes, you can join. So while you're at it, like and subscribe, please. Guys. So while you're at it, like and subscribe, please. Guys. I added you as a friend. How do you to the realm, by the way? Yeah, no, wait. Yeah, wait. Okay, this way. Yeah, wait. I'm still live streaming, by the way. Okay, I am this way. Somebody's gonna join. Okay, this way. Okay, so guys, that'll be it for today's live stream. So hopefully you like the live stream, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next live stream. So peace out, guys. So bye, guys. Bye. Yeah, bye, guys. Bye. Bye. I have to go to bed now. But bye, guys. Bye.